Hi, Giacomo. I recall a few weeks ago, Spalletti said that the three forwards had 33% chance, each of them, to go in the starting lineup at the Euro Cup. So each one had the same chance. How are you playing with this 33%? I believe I am doing my best, as I have always done, as each of the 26 players who are here are doing or trying to do. And our goal is to try and create a difficult decision for Mr. Spalletti to take, right? Despite we being on the same team, that means doing our best every day in training and trying to get our chance.
Allora, c'ha due cose. Visto che si è parlato tanto di sala giochi, di PlayStation e tutto il resto, volevo
capire se
tu invece
there was a lot of talk
dei
about
libri
PlayStations and
alternativi
game rooms. I wanted to ask you if you brought some books with you, if you try to do some reading, if you try to study a little bit in your free time. First question. Second question, Frattesi said concerning Scamacca, you know, the number 9 is actually a myth, which is discussed a lot. But I wanted to ask you, given the distribution of goals in the Euro Cup, do you think it's necessary to have an Osimhen to win a season title, to win a European Championship? So, answer to the first question, the game room, right, the important thing is creating a group. And that is my focus, that is our focus. We're having some, great times together. And I believe this is an aspect which can be an added value. Try and stay together, create a group, also outside of the pitch. That certainly helps. So right now I am focused on the Euro Cup. The idea of having a structured forward, I think it is a necessary requisite requirement to excel. It certainly can provide an added value, especially when you tackle teams which defend more, or when you want to play a cross up front or higher balls. Certainly that would be an important factor to consider. But generally speaking, I think in an organized context, we can also rely on a forward who supports the player behind them, who then makes the run in, honestly.
Poi Giorgia Cenni Sky, poi ci hanno chiesto Dario Ricci e Maurizio Pizzoferrato.
Ciao Giacomo, volevo chiederti, tu ormai sei in nazionale da 3 anni.
Giacomo, you've played for the national team
sei stato
for 3 years now.
Solo nel 21-22 a Sassuolo.
Only in the season 21-22 with Sassuolo you were in the starting lineup.
Sei chiuso di qui da Osimhen, di là da Kvaratskhelia. Volevo chiederti se è un po' colpa
Osimhen
anche di questo
Naples, at Napoli,
se inizia un po' a scalpitare, insomma, vista della prossima stagione,
do you think this hinders your career, and also in view of the next season, will you rise up to the starting lineup? Well, I am an ambitious boy, so what I mean by that is I want to make way for myself, if you know what I mean. Right now I'm 24 years old. I don't believe to be a part of the younger part of football, right? My goal is to be as consistent as possible every day, working towards building the opportunity to, again, to have more continuity, more consistency, which is my main goal.
Ciao. Buongiorno. Rispetto all'ultimo europeo, ti chiedo quanto ti senti
compared to the
cresciuto
previous
da
Euro
ero
Cup,
più giovane, invece
how
adesso non sei,
much do you feel you've grown? You used to be one of the youngest back then, and you no longer are. I wanted to ask you, what do you expect of this tournament, and how did you find Spalletti after Napoli? Well, I am certainly more mature from a footballer's point of view. I'm more aware of my means. The last time was the first time I was called for the national team, the first time I was confirmed to be among the 26 players. It was certainly something unexpected for me. And again, this doesn't mean that I don't take it for granted now. It still is it still fills me with pride to be part of this team. Spalletti, energy is infectious. Every time he can send a message your way, be it motivational message, be it a tactical message, he has the right words. Naturally, time is different, the time that you have available with respect to a club. So he has to balance the time that he has available with what his beliefs are. And we have to be good in the trainings that we have at our disposal and everything that we do, the time that we have to soak it in as much as possible. And that is the main goal. Having an identity that each and every one of the 26 players can recognize and then bring to the pitch.
Radio 24 e Maurizio Pizzoferrato, poi abbiamo ancora 4 richieste e poi vediamo se c'è altro tempo. Prego.
Buongiorno Giacomo.
A few questions and 4 more questions.
Giorgia di Kvaratskhelia, volevo sapere se volevi mandargli un messaggio in queste
ore. Do you have anything for Kvaratskhelia and his Georgia team? Matter of fact, our paths may cross further down the tournament, right? So do you have any words for him? He's a professional player, right? He also is able to handle that, the rumors and all that is being said about a player during a Euro Cup.
Porti pensieri, apprensioni, distrazioni.
I'm sure these aspects bring many distractions, right? So how can one handle that? So for Kvaratskhelia, well, I wish him the best of luck. I am in no place to say that to say otherwise about his talent. He's a golden boy, and I really wish him all the best. I'm sure that he will do what he must to showcase himself within the team as well. Concerning the idea of mental weight, so we're human, right? Obviously, thoughts may come up when we hear rumors or other things being said, and it may influence what one person is doing. But still, I think that the opportunity to being here and being able to play such an important competition, then it automatically also makes you focused on what you are doing. It's, as a sportsman, as a footballer, I believe it's one of the best things at this level that can happen to you. So I guarantee that mental-wise, head-wise, we're inside this tournament. These were two separate aspects. One was talking about Kvaratskhelia, another one about general aspects.
Ciao, senti, basta un po' andare a cercare le cronache recenti dopo il fallimento della qualificazione mondiale in Qatar.
After the lack of qualification for the World Cup in Qatar, headlines were talking about Raspadori as the person who was going to bring Italy forward. You were scoring. Comparisons were made with Paolo Rossi in the in how you swiftly scored. But things have changed now, so I wanted to ask you this. Do you feel you are underrated right now? Also, when you have issues, you don't tend to make a scene on the pitch. So I don't feel that I am underrated. I am within a group of very strong players with the Italy jersey playing a Euro Cup, right? So I would think it to be a lack of respect to other players to feel underrated. I admit I wasn't as consistent over the past year as I could have been. That could bring me more opportunities, more numbers, but I do not feel to be underrated at all. Again, you have to build your occasion and your opportunities every day, and this, I think, is what characterizes me and is what I will continue to do going forward. And then when the moment comes, we'll see. 10 games with Di Marco and Frattesi, so under Spalletti. These are the statistics.
Di Pizzoferrato. Volevo sapere se, avendo perso qualche occasione in nazionale,
I wanted to ask you that, given that you lost a few games with the national team, would you blame that also on Napoli, for example, and the hierarchies of the team? And does this make you think about the future, about your future? Right, so I don't think there's blame to be passed around. Right, consistency, continuity, it can help when you're playing at a national level to feel more ready. So you tend to show respect to maybe someone who instead was more consistent than you. What I want to say is that, according to me, I focus every day on the work that I do. I don't think that I missed out on any opportunities. And I don't think that I cannot be at my 100% if I want to be.
No, non so se c'è tempo, Stefano, abbiamo altre prenotazioni. Lì in fondo e poi l'altro.
Two Spanish colleagues and a couple of questions from the back.
Ciao Giacomo, Franco per Televisione Spagnola. Dove pensi di poter far male alla squadra spagnola e chi pensi sia il più
How do you think you can hurt the Spanish team, and who do you think is the favorite team to win?
Stiamo analizzando la Spagna per come ci stiamo preparando.
Well, we're approaching and preparing Spain in a way that reveals there are some weak points, right? We need to focus, though, on what we need to do. We know we're going to tackle a strong team. History shows us. Their recent journey shows us. Just look at their debut in the first game. But we need to focus on ourselves. We are aware of our value. We know that we have what we need, everything we need to in a sense, hurt them and get points.
Ah, sì, scusami, mi sono perso.
Oh, for the other question, I lost track. Right, who do I think will win? Teams, if we consider the level of the individual players, I think France and England, these are the teams which I think are more favored to win. But again, this is football. There's many different things which make up these chances, and we'll see. We'll do our best to join those ranks.
¿Cuál crees que es el gran peligro de la España?
What is Spain's greatest threat?
Ok, allora avevo capito bene.
Right. Okay, I understood that Spanish word. So they can be dangerous when they lose the ball. They can become very aggressive. So when we gain ball possession, we need to be able to clear it. We need to be able to secure our possession, and in those moments, perhaps try and create some occasions ourselves. When they lose the ball, they try to catch you on the back foot, and they try to dominate the situation to then go and score. So I think this is something we need to watch out for.
Grazie, ciao Jack. Senti, sicuramente avrete visto già qualcosa di Spagna-Croazia e avrete
Jack, I'm sure you've seen Spain and the Croatia game, Spain-Croatia game, and you've discussed it with your teammates.
Della Spagna, guardando quella partita specifica,
I wanted to ask you, given that specific game, Spain versus Croatia, what stood out the most? First question. Second question is, did you exchange greetings with Visha? Did you tell them, don't you dare leave so that I don't find you when I go back to Italy? Right, so I did not speak with Kvaratskhelia. Considering the first question, what we did notice is the intensity which was put in that game between the two teams, Spain and Croatia. Intensity is what stood out, be it on the ball or off the ball. What we must strive for is to at least play on their level of intensity, also off the ball, right? And it's generally something that we need to watch out for, their intensity.
Ciao Giacomo. Senti, io volevo sapere una curiosità. In questo anno in cui hai giocato magari un po' meno, ma
a curiosity of mine, this season you played
avuto modo di rimanere al tuo
usual, right? But still you managed to stay on your
il fatto appunto di
to
aver giocato meno,
ready. So I wanted to ask you how much
ti ha tenuto all'interno di questa nazionale Spalletti, cioè come è stata anche la comunicazione tra te e il CT in questo anno per poi farti trovare al massimo anche mentalmente per questo
Spalletti asking you to be ready mentally and physically for the tournament. Right, so I always felt part of the national team. I might have missed a few games, especially with my injury, but ever since I joined the ranks of the national team, I've always been playing games, so I never doubted my place here. As I said before, having consistency obviously helps you perform at your best. Playing more games brings you both physical advantages, but also on a personal level, you are more confident tactically, and you're just more at ease playing in the pitch, right? The more games you play, and this can certainly help also approach the game in a more calm way. Where with Visha, I don't speak to him directly every day, right? It happens sometimes. But then when you are also, but then I also speak with Spalletti, and if he calls me to play for the national team, then I am sure that I deserve it.
Ciao Giacomo. Senti, tu hai accennato prima al discorso della tua età, no? È un tema che
Giacomo, you mentioned your
spesso,
age,
vastissimo,
right? Earlier, it's a topic which comes up often. You said I am no longer at 24-year-old, the youngest, one of the younger players, right? When you have Yamal with 17-year-old years in Spain. But then we also know that there's younger players even who sometimes play in national teams. So I wanted to ask you, do you think it's a cultural issue, a behavioral issue? I wanted to ask you also, you're going to move in Napoli from with Antonio Conte, with the new manager and new coach. Have you already spoken with him? Right, so this has been going on for a while, this age gap, right? What I wanted to say earlier was that at 24 years old, in Italy, a football player might be considered young, right? Then you look abroad and you see a 24-year-old who already has 150 or more matches under their belt, right? And they're always in the starting lineup. So as an Italian player who plays in the Italian National League, I don't think that I am a young player. I hope that there will be a change of mentality on this topic. So I played in Sassuolo when I was young. I was lucky enough to have an amazing club, an amazing coach when I was younger that gave me the chance to make mistakes as I was growing up. So I definitely cannot. I mean, I am aware that this was more of a stroke of luck than anything, but at the same time, it gave me the awareness to be here today with the awareness that I have. So my message is that I hope that young players right now, today, currently may have more opportunities. Second question, we already spoke with the new coach for Napoli, but again, we're focused on what we're doing here now, which is the dream of any player. Concerning young players, after being European champions at Empoli, Italy is amongst the first 8 teams, and there is a place to play in the Chile tournament. So if you help us out, we might be able to do well with also the youth squads. Last question. So I wanted to ask you what you said to the colleague. I'm ambitious, you said. I am 24 years old. I want to make room for my chance to play. Do you think next season at Napoli with Conte you're going to have that opportunity to have more space to play, or do you think that you might, reflect on your career? Okay, so my goal is this: playing, being consistent, having a great season. We still did not talk about any of these issues in fine detail. Right, it's too early. We still haven't even been able to know each other professionally, so it's too early to talk about this, nor are we at the right venue to be discussing these topics. So please, let's stay with the Euro questions. Right, we no longer have time. This will be it. We'll see you tomorrow at 2:30 at Gelseim Theatre for the press conference for the MD-1. Iserlohn, Lemberg Stadium training is open 15 minutes before, and you are invited to a buffet.